I would like to welcome you to this very traditional artist talk, which is being brought to us or in conjunction with Artnet. So it's the Artnet Artist Breakfast Talk. A little tongue twister there. And thank you all for coming. It's wonderful to see you here once again. And it's nice to see repeating faces, but also the new and keep coming, because there's going to be great programming coming up. I want to take a moment to do a couple things. One, if you have a cell phone, could you please turn it off? I mean, we've been pretty good about it, by the way. But
I do want to say just one thing before we get started. Well, I'm Thierry, and I'm with Artnet. I'm in charge of communications for Artnet, and I'm thrilled. We continue to be thrilled to be partnering with the ArtTable. It's been a fantastic series so far. I was saying that. I think that's been the unanimous opinion of everybody who's been at these meetings and at these panels, and I'm sure that this morning will be no exception. There's one thing I want to draw your attention to. We will not be having one of these panels next month. We'll pick up again in September. But we don't want you to have withdrawal from Artnet, so we'd still like to invite you to come over and stop by on August 14th at 6:30 if you want. Gracie and I think 6 other of our specialists.
No, 8 other.
8 other of our specialists, so 9 of our specialists are organizing a valuation session where you can submit a few things you'd like to have appraised and estimated. And you come over, you have a one-on-one conversation with one of our specialists who can give you his or her opinion on whichever pieces you put forward. So you should have received the details of that through an email from the ArtTable, but obviously you can always ask me or Gracie for further details. And again, that's August 14th here in this building, this room probably, at 6:30.
And we're limited to 30 people, so you have to.
Oh, wow. Okay. Urgently sign up. And our current committee members include myself, Grace Manchin, Heather Darcy Bottari, and of course Sarah Marquette. Sarah really spearheaded this particular talk, and she's going to introduce the artist for us today. Thanks so much.
So we're the ones that are honored to have you here today. So really, thank you for coming. The piece that I always remember when I think of Kimsooja's work is a video that has Suja sitting atop a huge pile of colorful Bottaris in the back of an open truck as it weaves along a curved road. Exposed and precarious, I am afraid for this every woman that I do not know, but she sits tall and sure. It is a strange and beautiful image that is fraught with the weight of the contents of the bundles to which she is attached and the journey of the truck into the unknown, the road becoming the thread, and herself the needle that weaves together the past and the future. We've invited her here today on the occasion of her project representing Korea in this year's Venice Biennale, which is a picture right up here, to speak to us about her own journey as an artist. We are lucky to have independent curator Jane Farver here with us, who among her many professional accomplishments was director of the MIT List Visual Arts Center from 1999 to 2011 and hosted Suja there for an exhibition in 2005. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Please go ahead and start. Could we turn the lights up? Thanks,
I don't know how many of you actually saw the piece at Venice, but it was fantastic. And she's about to have her first U.S. or North American Museum Survey show at the Vancouver Art Gallery in October. So I have no idea how she has done both of these things, but she is the most serene, most organized person I know. So somehow she does it. But I think what we'd like to do is just take you through a PowerPoint. How many of you did see we just did that, okay. Okay, so a lot of you have not seen it. But we have a PowerPoint of the Venice project, and then we're going to go back sort of to the beginning and talk a little bit about Suja's work and the kind of underlying ideas behind it. And she's a very consistent, very strong body of work. So we'll go there. But Suja, do you want to begin with
Sure.
this?
I know number of members here, so the pavilion, but maybe during the opening day it was a little bit rainy and gray, so many of people didn't experience the maximum light inside of the pavilion. The pavilion that I consider and treat as a Bottari bundle as a whole, and treating the window glasses around the pavilion with a diffraction grading film that diffracts the light into a rainbow spectrum. So the inside, while I present this into light and sound installation, I didn't want to transform or manipulate by creating any objects or any structure in it. So keeping the original form of the architecture as it is, putting the mirror on the floor and the ceiling and a diffraction grading film, and also the my own breathing sound piece that is called the Weaving Factory, considering my body as a weaving factory, breathing in and out. So there's inhaling and exhaling, and also humming on top of my voices. So it has become as the breathing Bottari of this architecture itself, with the light and with the sound of breathing, taking this architecture also as my own body, that also enwraps the audience's body in it. And the only thing I invite in this structure is just the audience's body as a performer, as an active and a live performer. So nothing was directed, but people would do and react as they, feel and interact to the space. So in a way, the space transformed depending on the light of the day. I didn't install any artificial light inside, but only with the natural light of the day from morning till evening. It will change every moment. It really fluctuate the light intensity and also the spectrum and the location of it. Sometimes it's very intense, sometimes smooth. Taking this surface of the architecture as a palette, it's another kind of painting I am doing without painting. As I've been training as a painter since the beginning, I've been always aware of the notion of surface and also the questions on the surface that has been evolved into the textile and sewing, and then wrapping practice into video making. That is another way of wrapping the reality and the people and the nature. So these parallel practice between dealing with the actual physicality by wrapping Bottari bundles with used clothing inside, and also wrapping the humanity around the world using the video as another immaterial way of wrapping. I've been able to develop those notions of wrapping and unwrapping, and also notions of weaving, sewing, by connecting different culture, different geography and humanity around the world. And so this is one of the practice, I am more concentrated on the wrapping issue and also my old question on the painting and question on the color spectrum. That is originated actually from my the Korean 5 different obangsek color spectrum, we call it. That is center as a yellow and also like a white, green, blue, red, and black tone as different directionality, and also different nature of the personality and sense. So it has a lot of different symbolic meanings in each color. But I am generally dividing the space into 2 different elements in this pavilion. Because there's one small space that I created also an anechoic room that is in complete darkness and soundlessness. So while you enter the space with full sound and light, when you enter the anechoic room in complete darkness, unfortunately I don't have image because it's complete darkness. But when you enter, I wish I could allow people stay more, but we had some, organization issues, so we only had 1 minute. But it was, I thought, too short. But there were also people who were scared of being in the dark. So only people who wishes to enter and feel comfortable experience that extreme contrast between light and darkness, which is not 2 but 1, all connected. So in fact, the audiences come in and they pose, they look at their own reflection or the light reflections, or meditate, or even following my breathing session. They were doing their own performances without direction.
It looks like they're shoeless.
Huh?
They don't have...
Yeah, I also provided extra kind of socks so that they could take off their shoes and complete, in a way like they have to be ready to enter the space and feeling more comfortable, and also to protect the mirror floor as well. So the reason why I was doing this project was because when I was discussing about this Korean Pavilion, it was the time when Hurricane Sandy hit New York, and I was completely disconnected with power and heat, and as many of us experienced the same experience. So it really made me contemplate the condition of humanity in this era and environment in this era. And I was also questioning a lot about our fear in the darkness and the psychology of it. And why do we fear of the others? When we fear, when we see people we fear in the dark. So I was thinking, and also realized that the fear is not the person, but our own. It's about the unknown. We fear the unknown, not ourselves or the other. So that question of the unknown also led me create this complete darkness and complete silence to bring the audience's body inside and only hear their own breathing sound, and placing themselves in infinite darkness and soundlessness to also realize this fear and insecurity, and also the unknown is coming also from human ignorance. So I've been contemplating a lot about those issues, and also this place as the unknown, and also the visual knowledge we have under this sunlight exposed world. In a way, this anechoic chamber in the darkness was like an womb, like a mother's womb. Or it could be also a tomb where we breathe our last breathing, inside. And also birth to the light. So those two extreme, in a way, yin and yang relationship is presented in a way as a whole, as a one. As I always consider the notion of Bottari, the notion of sewing, also to reach to the totality of life and death, life and art as it is. So this was the Venice project in general, but
You need to go to the other.
I think so. Or maybe
just
Jane can,
a little bit of a follow-up on this. It's interesting because I've read that you consider John Cage to be your master, an artist you admire very much. But when we were talking about the anechoic chamber, it turned out you weren't even aware of his kind of iconic visit to an anechoic chamber in 1951 at Harvard, where he heard two sounds, expecting to hear silence. He heard this high whine, which was his nervous system, and this low sound, which was his own blood coursing through his body. And he said that lent him to his work becoming an exploration of non-intention, of asking questions instead of making choices. And you've also talked about the idea of inverting the notion of an artist as a predominant actor, and instead non-doing or non-making.
Right.
So in terms of thinking about this entire piece, how much of an influence has Cage been on you, or was it not at all, or...
by doing this particular piece, I wasn't aware of John Cage piece before, and while I was doing this, designing the anechoic chamber, I heard from my architect I was working with that he mentioned about the early stage of the experimentation by. He was mentioning about James Turrell or other artists in the 60s creating or visiting. So I'm aware of it, but I guess putting the soundlessness and also in complete darkness was not the case, no? It was to experiment also to see the light, no? For example, like James Turrell. So I thought it's a different context in terms of the relationship with the yin and yang and the Bottari and the darkness and light in my context as a continuation of the painting. And so I wasn't directly influenced by this his piece in this piece, but I was very much kind of touched by his statement in 1984 when I was in Paris. There was the last Paris Biennale, maybe Natalie, maybe 1984. There was a John Cage piece outdoor the white container box, like this, maybe a little bit, 2/3 of this space, long. There was nothing but a panel, like a triangular panel all around the corner of the floor that says, if it is, I translate, whether or not you try to make the sound is heard. I was really, really touched by this statement. And so from that moment, in a way, art making is not about making art. It's discovering the existing phenomenon or existing context that you discover and recreate, contextualize it. So from that moment, I was very much aware of that notion of non-doing, and also, in a way, refused to make things or manipulate things slowly. So at that moment, I was still doing the sewn pieces, but I think slowly I was also evolving into immaterializing the materiality of my doing art. That's how I was influenced by him. But also, I think it's also very personal kind of nature of my personality also, and as an Asian, and also it's kind of a comic. It came together with my own nature and personality with this influence.
And just a couple of quick questions. In your earlier works, you often used yourself. We rarely saw your face. It was usually the back of you, and you were like in the Needle Woman. You would completely
presentation, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
or we could go for the later.
Yeah, later. Okay.
But slowly, you've kind of disappeared yourself out of these works. But the more you disappear, the more I'm aware of you as an artist. I always have the sense of presence and feeling, particularly in this one with your breathing, your humming. You're very much there. But you have talked about disappearing and written about it. And there's a wonderful quote. Mary Jane Jacobs has written an incredible essay for the catalog for Sooja's upcoming show. And she quotes you as saying, "I have an ambition as an artist to just consume myself to the limit where I will be extinguished. From that moment, I won't need to be an artist anymore, but just a self-sufficient being or a nothingness that is free from desire." This work seems to be a kind of a culmination of a lot of earlier works and moving more and more toward this sense of extreme balance and keeping things in check. Can you tell us a little more about disappearing?
Disappearing. I don't know if I can tell about disappearing, but maybe disappearance of maybe you reducing your desire, reducing your weight of your body, weight of your being, I would say. So in a way, the consuming is also the art making for me, consuming your body, consuming your energy, and consuming your the desire, whatever that loads on your spirit and body. I would like to extinguish myself. That way I've been also, in a way, immaterialized in my work as well. By practicing and by working myself, I've been also parallelly practicing similar way of art making. Thank you.
we'll go into the next.
So actually, instead of making PowerPoint presentation, I decided to show you my upcoming. Is that? Sorry, you should go to the first page. It's must be the last page. I think we should go to one. No?
Yep, just press enter.
Yeah. So actually, this is not published yet, but I think it gives a much better sense in terms of connection with the different pieces together, and also giving the whole progress of my work, because it's the survey of my 30-year career. So it shows also the starting point of my work and also to most recent work. So it's just a PDF, and it's also better quality, so I decided.
But you can pre-order it.
Yeah, so anyway, Kimsooja Unfolding is the title, and we show this Korean obangsek basic color spectrum as a kind of a reference that refers different directionality or dimension and emotion and the character of personality, and also different elements of nature like earth, metal, water, fire, all these wood, kind of different elements that also was in a way similar to video making. When we go to video screen, the first thing you see is this color chart, which is also a similar way of creating images. So I will just go through, and whenever you feel like to discuss.
Suja, this is actually a publication content. This is a content for a book or a catalog?
Yeah, catalog for my retrospective in Vancouver. That will open in October. So this piece is, maybe it's good to explain a little bit, because these bed cover material that is from Korea, traditional bed cover, is one of my essential material used as a canvas, for example. I consider this bed cover as a frame of our lives, at the same time as a tableau where we get born, love, suffer and die. And also wrapping and unwrapping is the whole process of my working. Different way of presentation and commenting self and the other, and also society, history, and past, present, future. Also as a question on existential questions. So when it is opened, it also signifies family, love, couple, also rest. But when it's closed with one knot, it also signifies, especially in Korea, it means woman leaving their family to pursue her own life. It has that kind of a feministic connotation, but also it also enwraps, differentiate the inner world, outer world, and also it's the least belonging you carry when there is an emergency, like war, or you see a lot in the war zones and immigrant and also exile and so on. But it's also paint and sculpture And I consider also the Bottari as my body as the most complicated Bottari. So I juxtapose the Bottari together with my body. And the different dimensionality and transformation of the textile and garments are all connected to humanity and the body and skin and life and memories in different forms. So these are the pieces I did in Mumbai for the Mumbai laundry field in 4 different channels. And this was my older, it's performative video, but it became the first video I made without having any purpose to make it as a performance. But while I was just doing this daily life practice and reviewing the video in slow mode, I realized my body functions as symbolic needle that weaves the big fabric of nature. So from that moment, I decided to connect my body as a symbolic needle and also showing my movement and body performance in a video form. So I showed actually the first video at the MIT Gallery with Jane.
What's the date of this piece?
This was 1994.
And are the images we'll be seeing basically chronological?
Not really. The other one was 96. It was this was the earlier one, and it was 97 when I was doing the Cities on the Move project, where I traveled for 11 days around the Korea, where visiting villages and cities I used to live and visited and have memories before I come to New York. And this is actually one of the earliest song pieces, and it was from 1984.
Could we just stop here for a minute?
Yes.
Because you've written when you were a painter, one thing that really fascinated you was the support of the canvas, the horizontal and the vertical supports, and that you even wrote a master's thesis on the cruciform form in art. But then around that same time, I think you wrote in 82 or 83, you were sewing these bed covers with your mother. And actually, in the catalog, it also mentions that in Hangul, the Korean language, the vowels are formed with verticals, horizontals. So horizontal meaning earth, vertical meaning sky, and this point in the middle represents where mankind is. And that in sewing, suddenly in putting your needle through this thing, you realize that with the warp and the weft of the fabric, somehow this, and the emotional connections with fabric, this became the moment when you knew this was going to be your material, your way of working.
Right.
But it was also all about balance, because when we say something warped, it's like off, out of grid or out of weft. Can you just talk a little bit about that, or?
Yes, it was the moment when I was in the graduate school in Korea, and since late 70s, actually, I've been here for a while. This is late 70s. I've been really questioning a lot about the structure of the world. Not only the visual structures of the nature of the architecture, furniture, or any form, but at the same time our inner structure and the structure of our mind as an archetype, and also psychology of it, and all the dynamics and relationships of the nature we see even in the water, movement, wind, all these surroundings. So I was questioning how I could find the methodology, the right methodology to experiment this and reveal the reality in a unique way. So I've been doing many different experimentations using different materials, ways of doing, but I couldn't find the oneness between myself and the material or the subject or the object. But as Jane describes, one day I was preparing the bedcovers with my mother, and when I tried to put a needle point into this brilliant, colorful, soft fabric, Korean fabric, I had an exhilarant kind of feeling as if the whole energy from the universe comes through my body and hits on this point. And I was completely shocked, and at the same time realized this is it. This is the methodology I would explore in my question on surface, also question on the art, on life. So from that time, I started sewing, using mainly my deceased grandmother's used clothing, and also her textile that she was weaving. Yeah. So it has kind of parts of her body or memories in there, but. From that moment, I've been also using friends or families' leftover clothing or parts of it. And then from 94, when I came back from New York, from PS1, 93, I used only use the clothes as it is, as a whole, not cut or leftover parts. So that's the starting point of my experimentation on canvas, basically, and perspectives. And then from 90s, I started assemblage of the used clothing, but still parts of the used clothing, not as a whole, as a network of existences, entitled as a portrait. So, in fact, actually, even from the earlier sewing piece, there was always a notion of portraits in there, also connected to Needlewoman and other pieces. And these are, the right side is Mind of the World. And
what is the scale of these?
Some are big, but these are not so big scale, maybe just this big. But I have another big piece in the museum that is maybe the whole wall of this, and then lean with the bamboo wrapped cloth. This was at PS1 93, and I also it's actually PS1 was a very important moment in my career, because that was the moment I discovered Bottari bundle as a new discovery, as a painting at the same time as a sculpture by doing just one nut. It's been always around me, but I look at that different eyes at that moment, and that's how I discovered. And at the same time, where I quit actual sewing, and I didn't need to sew anymore because it was already in my mind. And also I could connect things without sewing. So these are the first also more site-specific installation I started from PS1. And these are also a continuation of the sewn pieces. The earth, on the left, which is the collection of the National Museum of Women in the Arts. And the right side is Le Bleu, I made also. And the one on the left is a really huge scale, but in a small, it's a collection of National Museum. And it is called also a Mind and the World. And I also discover this piece is very much linked to my Needlewoman piece, where I stand as in the place of the pole and looking at the world with the all the humanities instead of these collage of all the used clothings around. And this is the detail of the PS1 installation I did. So as you see, I was very conscious about this surface, cushion on the surface, and also the body and the connection to it, and to be a oneness. And this is also a series of wrapping onto the used objects. These are the ones, some are from New York, actually, upstate New York, I found during a workshop, and some are, the kind of stool is from Korea. And this was also 91, Untitled, and it's all wrapped also. And it also goes to different dimensionality and to the space. But I also realized that wrapping Bottari has not been just by accident, but before, while I was doing this wrapping onto the objects, I also discovered that it has been possible because sewing itself has the nature of wrapping of the fabric with the thread, with the needle. So it was all about wrapping action, actually, that evolved into bigger dimension and to the space. I did also a series of deductive object series in the early 90s, and the Bottari's 2000 in different configurations. And this is the piece I put every single square-shaped collages into a door frame in it was 91, yes. And then some of the objects I discovered also in upstate New York. Hooks and also soles I wrapped. And there is a certain kind of action to protect, also by wrapping of this, dangerous part of the sole or dangerous part of the hooks. So there's, I think the curator from Vancouver discovered this sole very interesting when she came to my studio. So here I found the origin of your concern about the word, about the violence, and about your reaction to the word. So she decided to put this piece in the show. These are all Korean kind of some farm tools and objects, wheels and drums.
Were you personally feeling a sense of disconnect from Korea, which these objects help to reinforce or bridge or in some way?
Actually, when I was still in Korea, so it was like more daily life objects I could find around me, or particularly interested in, because I different from sewn pieces that is more expanding the forms and results by making it, in a way, by accumulating doing it. This is doing only wrapping but reconforming the forms and structures. So it was more about my consciousness about the structure, the verticality and horizontality of the existing structures, to reconforming and reassuring to myself of this structural practice. On the right side is deductive object, also remembrance. And the black carpet is actually the Buddhist monk's meditational carpet. And this was from Venice Biennale in 2002. I installed it at the cafe in Central Park. But I started this tablecloth project in '95 at Edinburgh, the Fruit Market Gallery first. And the other one is also going back to the tableau again by just wrapping the shape of the tableau. And this was from Samsung Museum. At the time, it was the Rodin Gallery. I did a solo show there. And Céline Wendt wrote a very interesting essay about, titled as "Sewing into Life," which I appreciate very much. And that was another also piece I did that while I was in the PS1 with the, what is it called? The painting roll, the roller. And together with the lines. And the left-hand side was from Lyon Biennale, Exotisme, with the Jean-Bert Martin. And the right side actually has French baguette trolleys. This was also from left in the Lyon d'Art Contemporain, and then the right side is an installation from Kunstmuseum, Kunsthalle in Vienna. And this one is one of my recent pieces, revisiting my earlier sewing practice and textile practices related to drawing and related to structural examination and also the anthropological kind of research, in a way, which I do in 6 chapters. Maybe I go back. One in Peru on the left-hand side, working with local weaving communities, juxtaposing nature and structure of the nature, and also their garments and spinning and weaving actions. And the right side is the second chapter I did in Europe. All the lace making culture juxtaposed with the buildings like the Alhambra or Tour Eiffel, or different also the Sedlik ossuary in Czechoslovakia that is decorated with human bones, and all these structural elements juxtaposed together with the lace making structures. And I'm doing still India, China, Mali, and Native American Indians. And these are also some of the Bottari truck in Venice. I actually installed the mirror in front, but in this image that doesn't show much. And a laundry installation called the Mirror Woman with the Tibetan monks chant in it. So it's kind of commemorating the couples and the memories of body and love and agonies and of their histories. And this is series of prints I made called Archive of Couples, taking all from the Korean newly married couples bedcovers in an iris print as a series. So there's traces of different hues, and some colors are washed out, and this is another photo piece using the body inside. Another stage of wrapped Bottari, and called Encounter Looking into Sewing. So
Perhaps disappearing.
also looking at the gaze as another way of sewing.
Can I ask you a question about the Bottaris themselves?
Mm-hmm.
As you're talking about love and life and death and all that they symbolize,
Mm-hmm.
the Bottaris that you select for your project, do you actually look for older Bottaris that have actually been used in these other ways, or do you look for new ones, or is it a color, a pattern? How does that affect your selection of the Bottaris?
Yes, I actually bought a lot of used bed covers from secondhand market. It's all used, but in the end, it means it is abandoned bed covers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's not the one people are using, but they abandoned.
They discarded it.
Yeah.
That's really
But there are so many different kinds. There are some very luxurious with embroideries and patterns and characters, and that shows like love, fortune, a lot of sons or long life and so on. And also embedded also the patterns like turtle means also long life, and deers and as a family and love of children, and flowers, butterflies, and birds. Also love. Yeah, a lot of symbols in it, but also there's also very cheap materials like polyesters. We find from countryside.
That's
very
really interesting.
yeah.
Thank you.
So it's all connected and put together. So and this is also very old, earlier practice I never shown before. Actually, you are the first one who sees. In '91, I did this series of serigraphy about a structure on body, study on body. So in this series, I also examined my body using my body in a more vertical, horizontal way of movement, creating the different dimension of space in between my body space. So this has been also, I think it's also related to needlewoman performance, as well as my practice as a site-specific project up to, you see also in Venice is also linked to this, I think, how I see the structure and the form and so on. So this is actually really the first sewn piece, the inner 4 square is the first sewn piece I made, and then it was 93, and then I combined those together with little T-shirts. I put like Chinese ink on it in the end. Yeah. And then this was part of the installation and performative piece at PS1. And these are all series of needlewomen I did. The second chapter from Cuba and Havana, Rio, and Jerusalem, and Nepal and Patan, and Jamena in Chad, and Sana'a in Yemen, visiting all the cities in trouble in a way, different from my earlier 8-channel, which was focusing on metropolises. And this was an album, Hudson Guild. I portrayed the elderly people's community, their frontal view, backside, and whenever I call them, they turn back. And then in the end, I portrayed it as a group in a theater. And I also presented this piece in that theater so that it mirrors. And Jane was also...
You were a participant?
Yes, discussing together. Yeah. And this is Beggar Woman performance in Lagos. That shows also the connection of my gaze into nature as a Wind Woman series. And the left-hand side is the performance I directed in Times Square with the Creative Time, with the volunteers.
What year was the Creative Time piece?
2002.
Oh.
Yes. And then the right side is the one in Mexico City. I was so touched having first money from this man. I was crying and I couldn't stop crying. And it doesn't show from my back, but I was really emotional. Because I sensed already when he was stopping far away and stopped and in still, I already felt that this man will give me money.
Oh.
And my performance became reality, and I was so touched. Yeah.
Was that part of the point of what you were doing in Mexico? Or is this like a spontaneous?
It was spontaneous occurrence. Yeah, it was just. This was the first needlewoman piece in Tokyo and Shanghai and Delhi, New York, Mexico City, Cairo, Lagos, and London. And the most impressive and strong experience was actually in Tokyo when I was accumulating my energy by walking. I didn't have the idea to do this performance, but I was thinking of walking. And then at a certain point when I arrived to Shibuya, where hundreds of thousands of people were going and coming, I was overwhelmed and had to stop there. And I had an inner scream, and I decided to do this. And from that moment, it took some time to be centered and focused. And I was very vulnerable situation. But at the end of the performance, my heart was full of love with these people coming and going, accumulated humanity in my mind, and seeing the humanity all over the world across the horizon of this human waves. It was really a special moment, and I felt almost like enlightened. So from that moment, I decided to do the same performance in different parts of the world to meet every single person in the world.
So which cities were the most hospitable and which were the least hospitable?
I think economically difficult places were the most hospitable, I should say. Because, for example, Tokyo was...
As in traumatized, or as in, when you say difficult places, you mean places that are in...
They are poor,
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the places where the economy is really weak or not so developed, they are more warm and more engaged and more hospitable than the cities like in Tokyo or New York. New York people were very engaging, but funny way. They were watching and they never, keep their heads straight, always looking around to find different information. But similar situation in London is different. People in London was more focused and more introspective in a way. It's all dynamic, different multicultural cities, but they're a little bit gloomy than New Yorkers. New Yorkers eat a lot on the street too. I discovered. And the India was interesting. Shanghai was also interesting, but Cairo was the most engaging, but in a little bit like provocative way. They were bringing perfume, spray, eau de cologne, something like that, in front of me to wake up my attention.
Wow.
One woman came and walked around me and grabbed my hair and pulled. Another TV crew, actually, they are from New York, educational TV crew. One of them came in front of me, standing in front of me, doing the same thing for a while. And people were hugging, kissing each other in front of me.
Do you think it had to do with being a woman specifically in that case?
I think that also matters because in this Islamic culture, there's not so many women in the street actually walking around
or showing their hair
I am unmistakably Asian woman, very rare in this culture, so I got immediate attention.
Was there a particular amount of time that you spent in that spot in each city? Was it always the same?
Not really. Yeah,
do
it
it
depends.
intuitively?
Yes. Yeah. I always try to find the right moment and place because I sense the energy. Otherwise, I cannot do that. So I just move around a lot, and when I find the right place, I feel it. I feel the energy of the place and light. So I just immediately start doing it. And that's how I normally do. That was the Nuit Blanche in Paris at the Hôtel de Ville. It's a big projection. A laundry woman in front of Yamuna River in Delhi, where I really immediately found the energy in it. And I had a very interesting experience in it. Finding myself, in a way, questioning in the middle of the performance whether it is my body that runs or the river. I try to wake up a number of times. Which one is moving? Which one is running? But I was totally confused, and in the end, I figured out that it is my body that looks so solid, physical entity that will be disappearing than the river that flows. And it really also made me think about another deeper question. At the same time, I was also questioning why was I so confused in this situation? And I, in the end, figure out that it was the concentration that I had at that moment, as if I was the needle point, so concentrated to that point, where the point that has a position but no physicality. That means that can connect to any dimensionality around you. So there's no differentiation between inner world and outer world. So this is just my interpretation that was why I was so confused. And it was very interesting to experience different questions and awareness in each performances. That's why I continue doing performance, and it deepens and broadens my questions.
You must travel with a photographer.
Mostly I find people from the local. I travel by myself. Also because I didn't have enough budget to do anything like that. But I'm also interested in working with local people to know better the city, the culture, and people. I enjoyed working with them, although it's very risky to keep the quality and standard of each projection. When it's multi-projection, there's a little different qualities, but I take that risk for my experience. And in Gwangju Biennale, and the installation. Maybe we are a little bit too late, no?
Maybe we're running
Yeah.
out.
So maybe these are, this was shown, the American jukebox with 3 chants together. It's moving. The Islamic chant, Gregorian and Tibetan monk chant put inside. To, in a way, to comment the ideal way of harmonizing our society.
Have you shown this work at the Rubens Museum? I'm just curious because it seems very suited.
Right. And this was another lantern installation with also 3 chants at in Belgium, actually. You know, the Robinstein Gallery.
Right.
With the Beaux-Arts, and Spoleto Festival, Lighthouse Woman at the Maurice Island in where Civil War happened. So I symbolize the lighthouse as waiting for their own family members, as a witness. These are all about also surface, also the color spectrum and visual sewing, and also put my weaving factory's breathing sound also in La Fenice, that also breathes. And this was in a gallery in Chudi and Zuoz in Switzerland, the similar piece. It was from Crystal Palace in with the Reina Sofia. The first actually diffraction grading film I made. It's a Bottari. And this was beautiful space. And this was the sun and the moon, a mirror of the sun and the moon. I juxtaposed the sun setting and moon rising together with the dynamics of water. This is the sun unwrapped, in a way taking the sun itself as a Bottari and unwrapping it. And it's former Hitler's office. I put all the Polish clothing and shoes and putting the mandala chant, the Tibetan chant in it. And it's part of the Bottari Mumbai project.
Do you have a dealer that represents you in contracts with, how do you stage your contracts with these more unusual settings or places to exhibit? Are you approached independently?
No, I never approached anybody, but always, I do whatever I was invited, and whenever I'm inspired. So unless it was a gallery space, it was always by invitation. But luckily, I had very interesting invitations that it inspires me. Yes. So this was the Earth, Water, Fire, Air in Yonggwang Nuclear Power Station in Korea. Yeah, it was quite an amazing experience.
I saw
You
this.
saw
It was
it, no?
amazing,
Yeah.
and the nuclear power plant, you have to get all kinds of clearance to go
Yeah.
in. But then the water on one side is very dark gray, and then on the other side is kind of warm green because of the difference in temperature, where the
Processed,
plant is
yeah.
putting these things out, and it went way out into the water.
Those are actual
Beautiful image. These are video
yeah.
screens with
Actual screen like 5 meter in width and
Unbelievable.
1 kilo and 200
Beautiful.
meters long. So every 150 meters we install a different projection. So it's a long walk and back, and it's a double screen, so you can also watch on the way back. The rear screen.
it was one of the most amazing things I've ever
We
seen.
made it. Yeah.
And it's a walkway, you said?
It's a long
Yeah,
pier,
long pier.
way out into the water.
Yeah, all the way at the end, there's a lighthouse also. Yeah, actually, yeah. Some of Guggenheim board members were visiting too at the time.
And what were you projecting on the screen?
These are the ones, like earth, water, fire, air, different elements I was conceptually putting together, like earth of water, fire of air, water of air or something. I've been working with different elements, putting together to transform it and to show the relationship in one element to another, leaning to each other, and also volcanic images and also glaciers and so on. And these are the new thread roots project I mentioned in Peru. I never shown in New York, but I am showing in Orange County at the moment at a triennial. This is European one. I think we are done.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Just minor, but do we have a few questions, or shall we? Because it's a bit later than usual, and also, as you know, everyone is mostly in the art world profession, so many people are coming and going.
Right.
Yes. But I wanna-
Sorry for taking a little bit too long.
No, it's fine. You had a question?
I just wanted to make an announcement.
Absolutely. Yes. By all means.
I just want to put out our next program is next Tuesday. We're having a meet on the rooftop of the Empire Hotel in their rooftop bar. So it'll be a nice summer opportunity for people to come and network at and bring somebody that you think might be interested in ArtTable or might just be interested in drinks on a rooftop. So that's
Are there any
Tuesday.
other ArtTable programs that we should know of right now? Lucy?
There is a networking dinner that is full that's coming up on Monday, but the other thing that's coming up with ArtNet as well as ArtNet valuations, which are on August 14th.
That sounds very
I'd like to
exciting.
say something about that, but the announcement went out there. You're going to be able to submit works of art appraised by a group of 9 members of ArtNet, and if you submit those by August 1st, those will be appraised on the 14th. So that's going to be an amazing program.
Is there a focus on contemporary or?
I believe it's contemporary photography and prints, if I'm correct.
And Asian.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, and we're going to take a break in August, but we'll be back in September.